Hi, my name's Ilma and welcome to my channel. I've been posting Christian blogs 12 straight years every day. Today I'd like to share Genesis 41 verses 1 to 8. Here's the word of God. After 2 whole years, Pharaoh dreamed that he was standing by the Nile, and behold, there came up out of the Nile 7 cows, attractive and plump, and they fed in the reed grass. And behold, 7 other cows, ugly and thin, came up out of the Nile after them, and stood by the other cows on the bank of the Nile. And the ugly, thin cows ate up the 7 attractive, plump cows. And Pharaoh awoke, and he fell asleep and dreamed a second time. And behold, 7 ears of grain, plump and good, were growing on one stalk. And behold, after them sprouted 7 ears, thin and blighted by the east wind, and the thin ears swallowed up the 7 plump, full ears. And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. So in the morning his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt and all its wise men. Pharaoh told them his dreams, but there was none who could interpret them to Pharaoh. Genesis 41 verses 1 to 8. Here's the poem I wrote inspired by those verses. The Pharaoh's Dream. 2 years later, the king dreamed he was by the Nile. Out of the Nile 7 cows came up before, beautiful and plump. These cows fed in the reed grass, and then 7 other cows came. These next 7 cows were ugly and thin and came up out of the Nile. They stood beside each other in the bank of the Nile, but a bizarre thing happened. The ugly 7 thin cows ate up the 7 attractive plump cows, and the king awoke. And here's my essay. The king's dream bothered him so much that he was obsessed to find out what it meant. So he sent for all the magicians and wise men of Egypt to interpret these 2 dreams that troubled him. All those 2 years, the cupbearer had forgotten that Joseph could interpret the dream. It was probably God's timing that all these events happened that way, for it will lead to Joseph's rise from that prison cell. We never know what God's timing is. Reflection. Why do you think God allowed another 2 years for this dream to happen? And why did God not rescue Joseph right away and let him suffer longer? We never know God's purpose for doing things, or we never know why God allow human suffering to prevail. But usually when we are suffering, God is stronger in our hearts. So that verse that says, when we are weak, then we are strong. In other words, in our weakness, in our suffering, in our trial, God can actually make miracles in our lives and turn everything around. Why 2 years? Only God knows. But why allow Joseph to suffer longer? He has been suffering since he was, sold by his brothers. So that was probably from 16 years old up to how many years that he have served Potiphar, until the time that Potiphar's wife slandered him and he was ousted there and imprisoned. And it says here that this is another 2 years later, after he, so you'd think that he must be already, you'd think that he was in his 20s when he was desired by Potiphar's wife, and so he probably is still in his 20s up to his 30s by this time. But at the same time, God is giving him enough time and strengthening him and adding this dream interpretation into his spiritual gift. And because we know the story, that the ending is that he will become a very, very important person in Egypt. he will be given, because of this dream interpretation, this will lead him to the position that he will hold in Pharaoh's court. So I think sometimes God is honing us into something that he has planned for us. In my case, I came to Canada in 2004, but prior to that, I was in the Philippines for so long, and I wouldn't have known the Lord and got closer to him if I didn't come to Canada. So there was a purpose, but also the way I went to Canada was out of my desperation to end my loneliness, and so God brought me here so that I could be saved and that I could know him deeper. So there is a reason for that, and this is why this is the result of all these years that God has blessed me with his word. For 12 years I've been doing this, which is a gift. So prior to this gift, I had a whole lifetime of suffering. So God's timing is always right, and all these things that are happening to us has a reason and has a purpose in the plan of God. Thanks for watching. I hope you check my website at ILMA'S.com for artworks, photographs, and a copy of this blog. Please subscribe to my channel on YouTube so I could make more videos and give you the Word of God. If you haven't already, check over 3,000 videos I've done. Those 12 years I've been doing this. Just type on Google or YouTube search ILMA'S Poem Devotional. Have a wonderful day.